Hey, this is Sanyam Bhutani, and you're listening to Chai Time Data Science, a podcast for data science enthusiasts where I interview practitioners, researchers, and Kagglers about their journey, experience, and talk all things about data science. Hello, and welcome to another episode in the Chai Time Data Science Show. In this episode, I interviewed Dr. Yury Kashnitsky, data scientist at KPN in the text analytics group. The setup for this interview is slightly different. We will be talking about mlcourse.ai instead of Yury's journey. But I promise we'll try to have Yury again on the show to talk about his journey. So please stay tuned or subscribe for a episode due later. mlcourse.ai, spelled mlcourse.ai, is an open machine learning course by the Open Data Science community. The course is designed to have a perfect balance between theory and practice. It'll also have a lot of Kaggle in-class competitions that will be held during the live course. The next, and this will be the final session of this course, launches on September 2nd, 2019, which is in about 9 days. So you can still register for the course. You can find all of the details in the description of this podcast, or you can just go to the course website to register. In this interview, we talk a lot about the course setup and structure, the efforts that went into creating the course and the course modules. Yury is also kind enough to share many great advices for both people who are looking to get started with this course and people who have completed the course and looking to get a break into the field of data science. I also want to request for a call of action from the listener. If you want to sign up for the course, please do so, or please help us spread the word. I'm a huge fan of the course, and you can find a Twitter thread and a LinkedIn post linked in the description of this podcast. Please share it with people who you believe might benefit from this course or who are interested in learning all about machine learning. Now, here's the conversation with Yury, all about mlcourse.ai. Please enjoy the show and remember to sign up for it, because this will be the last live iteration of the course before it turns into a self-paced, themed online course. Enjoy the show. Hello, Dr. Yury Kashnitsky. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I'm really excited to talk to have you on the show and talk all about ML course.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, Dr. Kashnitsky. Sounds good.
Yeah. So the setup for our listeners and viewers, the setup for this interview is slightly different. We'll be talking about mlcourse.ai instead of Yury's journey. But I promise we'll have him again on the show sometime later on. Before we start talking about the course content and all things ML course, I'd like to know more about the professor, if I may, of ML course. So could you tell us more about your current day job? So you're a data scientist at KPN in the text analytics group. Could you tell us more about what the problems you're working on?
Yep, sure. So currently I'm at KPN in Netherlands, in Amsterdam, in a telecom operator. So this KPN is the main telecom operator in Netherlands. And so I'm there in a text analytics group. So basically there's a big challenge. So customers report a lot of stuff via chats, calls, emails, whatever, chats, including chatbots. And so basically it's a huge NLP challenge to extract some meaning from all these bulks of all these terabytes of information. No, actually hundreds of gigabytes, but still there's a lot of data to extract different problems that customers report, technical issues, or just some sentiments. Well, unfortunately, it's in Dutch. But I moved to this country, so it's some more motivation for me to learn Dutch. And at the same time, we play around with different architectures, so testing all the state-of-the-art models like BERT. It's actually a huge challenge for them to work in Dutch as well. So it's not only a challenge for a human, for non-Dutch speaker, but also for models. So I'm also leading transfer learning club here in the open data science community. And so we try to actually make it sort of work in production. So developing best practices on using state-of-the-art transformers in almost production-ready NLP pipelines.
Got it. It's super interesting. I'd like to delve more into it, but we'll maybe talk about it again later in another interview. So when you started your machine learning journey, there wasn't a mlcourse.ai. Could you tell us your favorite courses before ML course existed? And do you think like if someone followed ML course, or maybe if you had the chance to follow this course, they could get their break into the field as a data scientist?
Yep. Okay. So it was back in spring 2013. So I had to finish my master's studies, and well, I suffered from a lack of good ideas, and it was a time of huge procrastination. And so actually, I found Andrew and Ng's machine learning course. So it's by Stanford on Coursera. Well, and I never regret. So it was really magnificent. So Andrew Ng is a really charismatic person. So he describes ML very in just really, really good. So with he delivers all these ideas why ML is really important in our life, and he just explains all the stuff in such an intuitive way that you just at some point click and you just understand.
Yeah.
Shall I recommend his course right now? I doubt that. So just if you want to follow one of the evangelists, then for sure. But his course is already a bit outdated. So even living alone Octave language, which is not really popular right now, even regardless of that, actually there is nothing about decision trees, random forest, and gradient boosting. So this topic is completely ignored in his course.
Yeah.
And well, if you take gradient boosting, LightGBM or XGBoost, these are pretty famous libraries which are used in day-to-day job. At that time, this course was really cool. Right now, I would say there are more practical courses out there, and so yeah, including mlcourse.ai, of course.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
If you want to follow a charismatic leader like Andrew Ng, and if you want to know machine learning described in really general way, then for sure this course is still really cool. But for some more in-depth theory and modern practice at the same time, I would say join mlcourse.ai.
Sure thing. I'm sure many people are signing up already, but before we talk about the mind-blowing results from the community and the audience for the course, I'd love to talk more about the content and the efforts behind it. So maybe like if you could explain us, why did you feel there was a need to create ML course? And there are plenty of courses out there already in 2019. So where does mlcourse.ai come into the picture?
So actually, I started teaching machine learning as a teaching assistant in a university while pursuing my PhD degree at the same time. And so I just liked machine learning. So it's just such especially its theoretical part. It's just such a beauty in between math and programming. And so gradually I started developing my own machine learning material in order to teach at some point in the university. And at the same time, I was developing my theoretical ML skills while doing my PhD degree. Yeah. It's more in the domain of applied math, but still I sort of tried to find some ML topic which I can attack with these techniques. And so at the same time, I started enlarging my social network. So PhD studies is really good for that. And and I got to know some people who actually helped me starting teaching machine learning and data science in corporations, so in telecom operators and banks. This actually helped me financially. So at the time I was full-time in my PhD studies. So I just dropped full-time job, though I just dropped business intelligence that I did during my master's.
Okay.
I just decided, that I don't see any horizon in 20 years. So I would say doing business intelligence, my future was so predictable that I never regret that I actually dropped it in favor of PhD studies.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, gradually I started collecting material on machine learning. So I started teaching in this university, higher school of economics, in corporations, some online courses as well, like I would say smaller versions of modern mlcourse.ai.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I joined OpenDataScience community, as also known as ods.ai. And we just came to an idea. So I just initiated an idea that we can collect some materials that we have. So at that time, I've already got some pile of useful Jupyter notebooks. So why don't we just grab it, pick it into, so just deploy it in some really nice way, in a way of in a form of articles. So at first it was in Russian, and so we decided to write 10 articles based on my materials.
Right.
And then at the same point we decided to make a small competition, a small course with assignments, with a public leaderboard. And so we started off with some 500 participants, and then we collected feedback. And actually, this part with leaderboard introduced a lot of gamification. So just like Kaggle,
yeah.
So we had a common rating, and all the assignments, all the competitions, they actually influenced and updated this rating, and it turned out it's something unique. So you don't see it in other courses.
For sure.
Yeah. So on Kaggle, you've got it in every competition, but some common rating for the whole course, it's something unique. Yeah. And turned out it was really, really motivating. So people mentioned it. Especially if you are in the top of this rating, it actually, it makes you keep up, go on. And well, maybe at the same time, it can be demotivating if you're somewhere of the table. But we made this small kickoff, and then decided to make some more iterations. And then we incorporated with Kaggle. So unofficially, we just introduced some Kaggle in class competitions, and this helped us a lot. So we found some really nice balance between theory and practice.
Right. Even to me, like many people sign up for courses for the certification, but I think it's also mentioned in the website that your standing will be immortalized if you are in the top 100 rankings of the course. So I think it's one of the unique courses that does that.
Yeah, for sure. So we don't issue certificates. So honestly, I just think it's useless.
I agree.
Well, some people, of course, it's some proof of work. So some people would like to show their certificates. Well, if you both have knowledge and you can support this knowledge with certificates, then for sure show the certificate, it's okay. But if you don't have some particular knowledge but show a certificate, it can only make it worse.
Yeah.
So just in case, don't show a certificate. Better prove it with your knowledge. I would say this is a part of our philosophy. So we just share knowledge, and we don't issue certificates. But indeed, yes, some people would like to mention their mlcourse.ai position in the final rating. So we just have this leaderboard published on the website. Yeah.
That's really amazing. So I'd also like to discuss about the efforts that went into the course for you. So if like you mentioned, you were enrolled in a PhD program, and right now you're also working in a full-time job. So could you tell us like what kind of efforts go into the course? Like what kind of efforts do you put in for creating the course? You don't exactly monetize the course either. So I'm also curious, like why did you decide to keep it open even after, I'm sure, investing a lot of time into it?
Yeah, now it's Harold phase. Because of course it takes a lot of effort. So for some 2 or 3 months, it might be my part-time job. Some maybe 20 hours per week.
Okay.
So I actually never counted hours precisely because I was pretty happy with this work, with this occupation. At the same time, I would like to underline that it's not only my effort. I've already enrolled some 70 folks into organizing mlcourse.ai. Well, maybe half of them did translation or helped with translation of the material from Russian into English. But yeah, I would like to underline that it's a course done within ods.ai. Yeah, and I'm leading it, so maybe some 60% of effort is on my side, but still it's yeah, the course developed within the OpenDataScience community.
Okay.
Well, so as for monetization, well, the whole idea is that the course is open. Here I can make a small detour into OpenDataScience, how cool this community is. Yeah. So many people know this community for Kaggle, but yeah, probably you discussed with this topic in your previous podcasts with Andrew Lukyanenko, Artgor, and Vladimir Iglovikov, also known as Chernaus. Yeah, so indeed you can find a lot of highly qualified people in OpenDataScience. So it's not only about Kaggle, it's also about different cool libraries developed within OpenDataScience. And if you just have questions in your day-to-day data science job, you can just ask your question in OpenDataScience Slack channel, and then you can get really invaluable help.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we've got a lot of open activities. So we support some ideas of open science, open libraries, and so on. And so of course, the mlcourse.ai is driven within this philosophy. So it's by default it's open and free. Yeah, and I think. If it were not open, it wouldn't have gotten so much support, including some PR from Kaggle's CEO Anthony Goldblum. So yeah, I would say that people would like to share information about this course and to promote it, especially keeping in mind that it's free. Yep. So. Yeah, there are some expensive high quality courses, but the idea that you have something much and for free, that's what yeah, attracts people. Well, actually, we collect some donations on Patreon and Ko-Fi. I would say it's not really serious. It's yeah, we launch 2 sessions per year, so some 2-3 months sessions, and after each session we collect donations at some maybe 2,000 or 3,000 euro. Well, for the whole team, you're working part-time. I would say it's almost nothing, but still, yeah, I pay some TAs. This money goes to support, to pay for domain, for the website, and so on. So it's I would say almost for free for the idea.
Interesting. I'd also like to quote, like, based on what I know, other organizations that do monetize their content make in the order of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in that order of magnitude. And also, from what I know, you don't really push the Patreon. It's really there for people who like to contribute or like to donate. That's also really amazing about the course.
Yeah, I see some people are really grateful. So when they get their first data science positions after taking this course, they're eager to pay back. It's not only about money. So I see that people are really open for collaboration. So after finishing mlcourse.ai, they join as teaching assistants, or they join in improving course material and so on. So yeah, they feel that the community gave them something, and then they can pay back with some more effort or with some new activities. Yeah, so including Artgor, let's say Andrew Lukyanenko as an example. So he actually finished the course, and it's also cool for me to see that people develop their skills and then they become ODS members and Kaggle members, and then they pay back to the communities tenfold, like in case of Artgor.
That's amazing. Artgor is the king of Kaggle kernels. I'll have his podcast also linked in the description. So this is a plug for an interview that I've done with him for the audience if you'd like to listen to that. But now again, coming back to ML course, I'd like to talk more about the content. So the course is dubbed as, quote unquote, learning machine learning the hard way. Could you maybe speak to the philosophy for this tagline, and why is this tagline being used?
Yeah, well, so what makes ML Course AI different is that I guess we managed to find the right balance between theory and practice. So I used to be a purely theoretical guy, so yeah, all these PhD studies, and I can really enjoy ML theory. And yeah, I passed some courses, including Coursera, edX, and all these other platforms. So we can basically easily find an academic ML course where they discuss VC dimensions, or maybe some k-means, feeding time, complexity, or some other cool theoretical topics. Or on the contrary, you can pick up Kaggle Learn, where they honestly just ignore theory and yeah, and they attack machine learning as if it were a bunch of Python libraries. So I would say the objective was to give some practical skills, a lot of assignments, personal projects, Kaggle competitions, and so on. So the course is really focused on practice, but at the same time, we would like to give a theoretical basis, so for people to understand the theoretical grounds of algorithms which they use in their day-to-day job. And of course, doing both at the same time is hard, and yeah, it requires a lot of effort from students. That's why our motto: learn ML the hard way. Yeah, and well, if you manage to pass the course, then yeah, then it will pay back to you maybe tenfold. Yeah.
Got it. So the course is divided into, I think, a 12-week structure that is highlighted as 4 modules in the website, which are EDA, decision trees, random forest, and gradient boosting. Thirdly, linear classification and regression models. And finally, unsupervised learning, online learning, and time series. So could you enlighten us about these modules and what made you converge on these, or what made you include these in the course?
Yep. So, yeah, actually, I wouldn't like to say that it's our official syllabus. Yeah. So these topics are crucial, yeah, of course, but they lack a lot of things in machine learning, like cross-validation, feature selection, or maybe just regression is not underlined. Well, linear classification and regression, but yeah, maybe it lacks some steps like dimensionality reduction and so on. So basically, we started with 10 topics covering all the basic things from exploratory data analysis to gradient boosting. I would say right away that we don't cover neural nets, so it's yeah, it's worth another course and another specialization. So yeah, I would say that we just cover basic ML.
Okay.
Now I just decided to group all the topics in 4 models. So firstly, it's exploratory data analysis. Again, I can refer to your talk with Andrew about the importance of EDA. Yeah. So basically, when you get your data, when you start solving some problem, you get insights. You plot different figures. You try to get some intuition about the data. And then at some point, maybe you come up with some insights which help you with features, or maybe even you might decide that you don't need machine learning in your project. Yeah. So if you via exploratory data analysis, you may come up with some heuristics, and that will be good enough. Yeah, because of course in the real work you need to optimize accuracy and time to production, time for spent on developing the
pipeline,
just a notebook or a serious model deployed to production. And EDA sometimes can lead to really important hypotheses. Then basically you work in cooperation with data analysts, and then you can share your findings, and then they can check some hypotheses for you. So EDA is crucially important. And yeah, as a good example, Artgor's kernels are just really good in terms of EDA. So then secondly, decision trees. So it's a big family of decision tree based methods. So including random forest and different types of gradient boosting. Yeah, I would say this is really important because it's it's heavily used in a day-to-day job. So when you have tabular data with all sorts of features, numeric, categorical, binary, so all types of features, then typically gradient boosting will work really well. And actually same for linear models, the third module. So I would say some, I guess, according to Kaggle data science survey, 90% of data scientists actually use logistic regression in their day-to-day job. It's not surprising because it's a simple baseline, and of course you need to check it. If you work with texts, then for sure logistic regression and TF-ADF is just the first reasonable baseline.
It works well.
So actually, I use logistic regression in production. On my previous jobs, I used gradient boosting in production. So it's really cool to come from to start with theoretical basics of these algorithms, and then gradually to study modern tools like LightGBM or CatBoost, and then actually use these models in competitions, and then further in personal projects or production. So as for linear models, we of course, it's a very, very popular topic, and it's studied in different communities. So statisticians study linear models very thoroughly. Then it's used in econometrics. I would say that here we stick to machine learning perspective. So if you further plan to study neural nets, then many things will be familiar for you after taking mlcourse.ai. So in particular, as for logistic regression, we just treat it in a way as a shallow neural network. So we convey this material in a purely ML perspective. So basically, studying neural nets would be a reasonable next step.
Got it.
As for the last module, I would say it combines all the other topics, so we can call it the rest. But of course, these are also very important tasks. So we discussed unsupervised learning, so how it's different from other tasks. So what can you do when you don't have labeled data? Then we discuss how algorithmically scale large datasets, including several gigabytes. And in one of the homeworks, in one of assignments, you'll be actually working with some 10 gigabytes of data with just with a usual laptop without any Hadoop cluster. So this tool, Vocal Web is just blazingly fast. So we discussed theoretical basics, how it's even possible, and then actually practical implementations. And then finally, time series. It's heavily used in industry. And then we also go through all these nitty-gritty details, how it's theoretically different from classification or regression, and what tools do we have out there to solve time series tasks.
Got it. So to talk more about the structure, I think ML course is unique. Maybe fast.ai sort of follows this in one way, but there's this unique structure where we can also, I think this time we can interact with you in a live stream, and the team from ODS is also pretty active where we can ask questions and all. And then there's this heavy orientation towards Kaggle. So just curious, like what made you pick this unique design for this course compared to like completely different ones from others?
We just started with this course in the OpenDataScience community. And so we just noticed that, we as course authors and lecturers, we are also there in that channels. We are ready to help. Of course, it took a lot of time. But then we just noticed that students are really, really involved. So I would say that we have a really low churn rate. So almost 1/4 of all students who actually sign up for the course, then they successfully finish. So one quarter. It's really impressive compared to Coursera, let's say, where, I don't know, the retention is some 1% or even less. We're in the same channel in OpenDataScience Slack community. We're helping people, and they feel really, really engaged. So, and the community itself, so there's a lot of humor, all the different jokes arise there in the channel. It also helps. So I also include some memes in my lecture material. So yeah, it's really, really informal, maybe sometimes a bit toxic, but still it's very, very alive. So as compared to the other specializations, it's a huge advantage here, because for in other specialization, I just noticed how forums just at some point go dead, so they're not supported anymore. And so then we made several iterations of the course. So then we decided to put more stress on Kaggle, and together with this, I would say, simple but unique idea of a public leaderboard held during the course. Yeah, this altogether made it specifically. It made the course unique and very alive. And so yeah, we went on sticking to this format, going on with the course in this community, and I guess it really worked well.
Got it. I'm definitely a huge fan of the nerdy culture, if I may, the memes and all. So I do really enjoy that. So I'd also like to ask you, how can a beginner best utilize these materials? So if you were to put yourself in the shoes of a beginner, how would you suggest that they approach the material? How should they distribute their time and efforts?
Yeah, so first of all, I think I didn't mention yet prerequisites. Yeah, so the course is, so it does involve some math. So we state math as prerequisites, but it's really basic. So if you studied in a university, then basics of analysis, calculus, linear algebra, statistics, that can sound familiar. If not, then yeah, you can quickly refresh it, or in the worst case, you can just skip all the theoretical part. Yeah, you won't get some credits, but whatever, and you can just focus on practical side. The vital prerequisite is some basic Python skills. So being able to write a loop or a class. But yeah, it's simple. If you just pick up Code Academy or some very, very simple interactive course, then you can acquire necessary skills in just a couple of weeks. So it's not a problem. With these prerequisites in mind, you enter this Slack community and you see a lot of messages, so somewhere in the beginning of the course, it's really easy to be lost in all this information.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, but you can just follow mlcourse.ai news channel in Slack community. And we make announcements and we give really clear instructions in each assignment. So we've got a lot of videos and articles and so on. But in each assignment, we particularly state that you need to first study this article on decision trees, then answer these questions in a quiz, then fulfill this assignment. So I would say the instructions are pretty clear. And again, in any case, just ask your questions in community, in this mlcourse.ai channel, and they will definitely help. Yeah, of course, Googling, very good advice. But indeed, yeah, even when we cover a lot of essential topics, still we cannot give all the material in 3 months. That's why we also had tutorials. So students were able to write their own tutorials and to extend course material. Let's say covering some library for feature selection, let's say ML extend. If it's not covered in our course, then why not write in a tutorial? And we've seen a really positive feedback about these tutorials. So actually, people are not intimidated with sharing knowledge. Even though you started as a newbie, then in 2 months you are really able to take some small topic and to write about it. Why not?
Yep, that's great advice. So if you could maybe speak of one favorite student success story from the course.
Oh, success stories. Yeah, I guess we have some maybe 3,000 alumni alumnus, so people who successfully finished the course. I know maybe a couple dozen stories how people got their first data science jobs after finishing mlcourse.ai. I think we can discuss it later. Of course, it's not enough to get a data science job, but it might cover essential ML skills that they ask in interviews. Let me think. So if to pick up just one story, I remember when I defended my PhD degree, I invited my mom to the whole process.
Okay.
Of course, she was really impressed. So she looked at me as if I just arrived from Mars, speaking extraterrestrial language. And then, after the whole process, we just walked to celebrate. It was my mom and my aunt, so I was in a cool company. And then I just bumped into one of my course mates. So we studied in MIT, it's Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, and we actually played hockey together, so ice hockey. So he used to be a keeper, I was attacking, and I hardly recognized him. And then he started actually saying his gratitude. So he thanked me for all the knowledge he got in mlcourse.ai, and it actually helped him to find his job in Megaphone. So it's a huge Russian telecom operator. And so he said he started as a newbie, and in 3 months he acquired all the necessary ML skills. So just a bit of working on SQL and so on. And then he managed to pass a pretty demanding interview process. So he thanked me, and then I actually noticed that my mom was impressed. So she showed some signs of appreciation, and so she saw that people really appreciate what we are doing. So I think if you can impress your mom, then you've definitely done the right thing.
That's really a high bar for everyone to beat.
Yeah, definitely.
So also curious for people who've completed the course, or once they complete this last iteration of the course, how can they best support the course? What would be the best method for that?
So speaking about our alumni, I would say the best thing to do is to become an active ods.ai member, just like Artgore or others. So you can contribute to the community. You can, first of all, you can share your cool stories. So if the course helped you to find a data science job, then just share your cool story. Then just being active in ODS is cool by itself. So you can join some open projects. You can contribute to some cool libraries like Albumentations or Catalyst, or some projects, machine learning for social good. So we also support some socially beneficial projects. So if you just join these courses, then it's also fine. First of all, you can, of course, share the information about the course. Why not? Yes, some financial contributions are more than welcome, of course, but it's not, as I said, it's not the main source of my income, for sure. And spreading a word about mlcourse.ai and being active in ODS, I would say that's it.
Okay, so also a call to action for our viewers and listeners. We'll have maybe a Twitter thread and a LinkedIn post linked. Please do share it if you're a fan of ML course. So could you tell us, this will be the last iteration of ML course? What plans do you have after this run? Will there be another follow-up course, maybe a DL course? And given the speed of machine learning, do you think with time ML course might lose its importance? Or will the topics be still relevant?
Here we touch a bit inconvenient topic for me. Actually, this is going to be the last session of mlcourse.ai. So we've been running it from 2017, so almost for three years. Yeah. Well, of course, it takes a lot of time. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have motivation. So that's for sure. I would say it's a pre-assumption of motivation. Yeah, like sometimes I've seen some old grannies selling some rubbish somewhere in the evening in Moscow suburbs, and I thought, why the hell are they staying here and selling this shit? Yeah, nobody needs this shit. Why are they selling this? But then there's this very simple idea, pre-assumption of motivation. Yeah? If somebody is doing something, then there is motivation to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you just stop doing that. So of course there is some motivation for me to keep up this fire with mlcourse.ai.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's some personal reputation. In the beginning, actually, the main motivation for me was to understand the material better. So I was really excited with machine learning and with delving deep into theoretical and algorithmic and practical, all these nitty-gritty details.
Mm-hmm.
But still, as I said, sometimes it's a part-time job. And of course, it cannot last forever, even such cool things as mlcourse.ai.
Yeah.
So I'll make an announcement later. No, it's not a deep learning course. No. Unfortunately, or thankfully, we've got some really cool deep learning courses out there. Computer Science 231N by Stanford and fast.ai. Actually, to those people who successfully finished mlcourse.ai, we'll offer to join a session on CS231N, this cool Stanford course. It will not be the same as mlcourse.ai, so almost no instructions from us. It will be just self-paced.
A study group, of format?
We have a separate Slack channel for that, and we invite people to join this really hard and demanding but very, very exciting course. And you can also ask questions on Slack. If you want to understand the theoretical part, all the what's under the hood of neural nets, it's a reasonable next step after mlcourse.ai. We also have DLcourse.ai, deep learning course. First iteration was in Russian, and well, I don't know if it's going to be translated into English. Probably not, but for Russian speakers, maybe there will be other next sessions of dlcourse.ai, again, within OpenDataScience community. So personally, I am not going on with developing another course, too much effort put into mlcourse.ai. This course will turn into a self-paced format. So it still will be useful, still reading articles, watching videos, and doing assignments is still available. But of course, the actual live session is much better. So way more motivating to compete with some 2,000 other folks.
Yeah.
And as for the knowledge shared, whether it can go deprecated, whether it's going to be alive forever, I think some parts can still be alive even in 1 century. Such things as decision trees and logistic regression. I think linear regression is alive from 17th, I guess, from 17th century, from Gauss. And it's still a reasonable choice in a lot of tasks.
Yeah.
Well, of course, a lot of code depends on all this Python framework, Python plus NumPy and Pandas, sklearn. Yeah, of course, it's not going to last forever, but there are pretty good reasons why it shall last some 20 years more. Yeah, maybe in 20 years it will be taken over by another version of cool, efficient programming language. Maybe hardware will change a lot, but I would say for some, I don't know, it's hard to predict, but for some 20 years, I would say all the material will still be up to date, I guess.
Also because it's not library dependent, or it's not relying on anything specific to today's date.
So there are a lot of things shared independently of implementation. yeah, of course, all the assignments, they deal with Python code and heavily rely on sklearn library. But still, yeah, a lot of theory is, yeah, it's eternal. All the math behind logistic regression or gradient boosting, it can live forever.
Yep. So this was really an amazing conversation. Before we conclude, and there's still 9 days to join the course for people listening. There'll be a link in the description. Please do join the course if you're interested. What would be your best advice to the people that will sign up for the course for the last live run of the course, and for those who manage to complete the course and are maybe seeking a data science position? What would be your advice to them?
Yes, so starting with firstly with folks who are going to join the ongoing session. So first, don't be intimidated with math. Yeah, so of course it starts with EDA, and then with basic things like what is machine learning, what's the difference between classification and regression, and then suddenly the fourth topic with linear models and with a lot of math. Don't be intimidated. So you can always find help in Slack community. We also share some material on math. And in the worst case, indeed, you can just skip some parts and just go to the practical part. And of course, don't be shy. Don't be ashamed of posting silly questions. So please follow the rules. I'll announce them in the Slack community. But if you follow the rules, then you can ask any silly question. I just wanted to find my first questions in this Coursera forum when I started passing Andrew NG's course back in 2013. I guess my first question was, whoa, really, is linear regression actually learning something? So why is it learning? It's you perform some straightforward computations, and why is it actually learning? And then, indeed, some other folks explained me that, we are collecting data. So by learning, we mean adapting these weights. Yeah, it's not rocket science, but still, that's what we mean by learning. So, I would say it's a pretty silly question, but when you're a beginner, just don't be afraid of asking. And if one of the topics or one of the assignments is unbeatable for you, well, just grab some courage to skip this assignment and just join the next assignment. And the main thing is just to have this course done. Yeah, so just to pass through. Yeah. It's a very simple idea, but still some 3/4 of course participants will just drop. However, you can cover some 10% of each topic, but finish the course, and still it will be really, really helpful, really valuable. You'll get some essential knowledge. Well, maybe not 10%, but if you complete 1/3, I still think it's some essential knowledge. As for those who managed to go through the course, of course, I would say if you are still not into data science, if you work, let's say, as a Java programmer and you want to enter data science field, if we are talking about the first data science position after a course like mlcourse.ai or alternatives, I would say you need first to know Python and SQL. I would say these are essential things to check in the interview. Then in some companies they would also check math. So if it's a Google style interview or interviews that we had back in Russia, like my previous company, Mail.ru Group, a huge IT giant, or Yandex. So we all followed, let's say, a Google style interview. So we expected some math knowledge from students. Okay. I won't say that it's that it's everywhere, that each company would ask some math questions in interviews, but better be prepared for that. And the same for algorithmic tasks like this lead coding. they can easily check it. Maybe some simple things like writing a Fibonacci generator in Python, or something more involved. At least solving some tasks on lead code would definitely be helpful. So the next goes ML, so theory and practice. So I would say this point can be just closed with mlcourse.ai. So mlcourse.ai gives these essential skills. Well, of course, it depends. Maybe you're looking for a deep learning position, then also taking some deep learning course.
Right.
I would say the next thing will be actually performing, so manifesting your skills. So it will be some pet project or Kaggle competitions. Then in the end, apart from some certificate or even knowledge, you'd better show that you've implemented something. Actually, a lot of people ask me this question. So how to switch one's career and to delve into data science? And it was a hard question for me to answer because I had my own path. Other students have their own paths, and if you are 39, let's say you've got 3 children and you're a senior Java programmer, and then you just want to drop everything and search for a data science position, then you are most probably you'll have to sacrifice in terms of salary, of course. That's why, of course, I know some cases when one of our former colleagues at Mail.ru group, he just dropped his position in a huge bank, and he joined Mail.ru group as a machine learner just for 50% of the salary that he got at bank. So he sacrificed really a lot, and of course not everybody is can sacrifice that, especially if you've got a family and you are used to some level of income. But then gradually I found an answer. It can be actually pet projects. So again, Andrew Ardgore's example is really cool. So while passing a course in neural networks, I guess it was CS231N, so he just developed a small web application doing image classification, so actually handwritten digit recognition. Draw an ugly 6, and then the system recognizes these as a 6. But then you can actually manifest some skills. You can show that you know some web development basics. You've trained some neural networks. You are familiar with basic ML pipeline with productionizing your model.
Right.
You can make it really complicated. So you can do CI/CD. You can manage your model lifecycle. So you can actually go really deep with your pet project, and then it's something that you can show in your next interview. It might be I don't know, sentiment analysis on cryptocurrency news. So you just crawl some data, you invest a bit into hand labeling, and then you collect feedback from the website itself, and then retrain your model. And you can actually share a lot. So even if you apply for an ML engineer position, still you can show some skills via pet projects. Some of the pet projects were born in ods.ai community, and now they get pretty mature. Same goes for Kaggle. It's completely separate story. I think you can gain some knowledge on Kaggle, but you shall resist this gamification part. So it's really easy to fall into this trap. But of course, if you've just covered some basic ML course, then in the beginning, Kaggle will be helpful for sure. And then after all of that, I would say just go for interviews. So start applying for data science positions. I definitely won't recommend taking 1 year break from all your activities and investing this time into ML courses or Kaggle or pet projects. No, go for interviews, collect some feedback. then you'll get less nervous while talking to people, answering their questions. You'll develop some of your soft skills. We can actually call it reinforcement learning. Yeah? So you apply for one position, even if you are rejected, you've gained something. At least it's some experience. Sometimes you just make 3 or 4 attempts, and then for some reason you just succeed with one of your applications.
Yeah.
I was also rejected a couple of times by Yandex and Google. I was okay with that. It was a cool experience for me. I made some conclusions. And then at the same time, while attending interviews, you can manifest what you've done with these pet projects and Kaggle. And then just be social, get some references, and when you're ready, just ask for a reference. Yeah, so you can ask your friend working in some company to write a recommendation letter, and this works particularly well. So yeah, if you work as a data scientist and you need to fill in some spot to quickly hire a person, or just slowly hire a person, just according to some hiring plan, then, yeah, of course, first you would ask for some references, recommendation letters. Yeah. So it works really well. So if you want to develop some timeline, I would say these Python's, SQL, and math, these goes in the beginning. Yeah, and then programming. Then goes ML part. Then some personal projects and Kaggle. And the last can go at the same time. So you can attend conferences, find new people, get to know some new people, and at the same time you can practice with interviews, and then at some point you'll succeed.
Got it. Also curious, like, where do you hold the Kaggle mark? So like, discarding the gamification part, but what would you consider respectable Kaggle result in terms of maybe percentage or medals? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, I would say depends of course on the position. So if you apply for a purely ML modeler, like if your occupation is going to be fit and predict, of course it requires at least some software in skills. But yeah, for some positions, being a Kaggle master, I would say, might be essential. For some other positions, I would say silver models are still okay. I'm not Kaggle competitions master yet, so I optimize the amount of knowledge that I get in my competitions. And some competitions are really, really very, very cool in terms of knowledge. I particularly enjoy competitions which are closer to research, like gender pronoun resolution. I still haven't got a golden medal in that competitions, but still I learned a lot particularly in NLP competitions. So when I moved to Netherlands here, I just delved into the domain of NLP. So I just started with NLP, and at that time Kaggle was especially helpful for me. I got a lot of tricks, a lot of knowledge shared by kernels and discussions. So I would say if you can present your solution, if you can show that you've gained some knowledge, so sometimes even a solid silver model can be better than a golden model if you participated, if you are part of a big team and you cannot describe the solution, then your golden medal is useless. Yeah, you see.
Got it. So before we end the call, first on the behalf of the community, I'd like to thank you and the complete ML course team for all the efforts and all the great things happening at ods.ai. Before we end the call, we know how to get to ML course. Maybe could you tell us what would be the best platforms to follow you and your work?
I'm mostly seen in ODS community. So my nick is Yorko. Then sometimes I do post something on Twitter. Okay. I guess that's it. Yeah, I've got my personal site. Sometimes I write something on Medium. But still, the main source is ODS Slack community.
Got it. We'll have your Twitter and your website linked in the description for those who want to follow you. Thanks so much again for taking the time to do this interview, and thank you for creating mlcourse.ai.
Yeah. Thanks. It's my pleasure. Lastly, I want maybe to give some last piece of advice to all ML Course AI participants. We've got this motto to learn ML the hard way. But still, I want to make a precaution. Just don't fall into the trap of learning or working full time. Full time is okay, but I mean, don't work 14 or 15 hours per day. Don't fall into this trap. Of course, it's mostly about startuppers. So if you just go to the US and invest the whole piece of your life, some 3 years, into some startup, you can easily fall into the trip of workaholics. I would just say be careful with your time. Go on with sports, and you shall not sacrifice you shall not ignore your family, parents, friends, your partner. It's still very, very important. So never sacrifice two things: your family and sports.
Got it. All right. That's great advice. Thanks for the amazing note.
Yep. Thanks. Nice talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to give it a review, or feel free to shoot me a message. You can find all of the social media links in the description. If you like the show, please subscribe and tune in each week to Chai Time Data Science.